Alright, so welcome back to Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef. So let's continue on with the setup, talking about how each one of the basically locations work as well. So the next one you would set up here is Lamarra Stadium. And this is the second location where the judge can sit. So the judge will sit there if he is currently in Lamarra Stadium. Now, one of the things that's unique about this one is there's actually going to be a boat you'll be playing with, okay? And since I have the retail version, I just get the regular little, standee for the boat. If you were playing the, Kickstarter or the deluxe version, I guess you could call it, I think you would get a miniature. But here we have the boat, okay? And when you are playing, when you have this set up, you're going to set this up with the boat at this location right here. Okay, that's where it's going to start. Now, when you come to Lamarra Stadium, you have 3 locations that you can, basically go to. Okay, this one here is Palm Plaza. So let me lift it up so you can see it better. So here we have Palm Plaza. This one you'll get 2 fruit if you visit that location. You also notice this. Well, I do have the nice metallic thing for this. So basically, you'll get this if you decide to go to Palm Plaza. Now, what's this? This is the first player token. So in the game, you basically kind of randomly decide who's going to be the first player. So if you want to, in the next round, for instance, so if it's the first round and you go to Palm Plaza, you'll get the first player token, which means in the second round, you'll be able to go first for the second round, okay? Now, that will not change, because when you go here, you're going to leave behind, let me see if I can find it. Each character is going to start with 2 of these discs. You'll notice these are the discs I'm talking about, okay? Each player is going to start with 2 discs, okay? And when you leave a location, because this is a worker placement game, in the first round, you only have 2 of those discs, which means you can only go to 2 locations for the first round each, okay? So when you leave a location, let me pull it out after all. The fruit is in the way, the shells are in the way, so hold on. Okay, let me grab somebody cool, like Cayman, perhaps. And let me grab his discs. So here's Cayman, his discs. Let me grab a standee too real quick. So here's Cayman. Okay. So when you decide to go to a location, so let's say I decided to go to Palm Plaza, what you're going to do is, and this is something to definitely need to know when you're playing this worker placement game, is you're going to put this, if I decide to go to Palm Plaza, I will put that disc right there, and then I will place Cayman there, because he is currently at Palm Plaza, okay? That's how it's going to work. Now, after you decide to leave that location and go somewhere else, like let's say you want to go to the floating gardens here and get that novice dice, well, you're going to put your second disc up there for your next turn, meaning you get one, basically 1 turn each round. I mean, you get 2 turns each round, but you're going to be taking turns. So you basically place your character, once, maybe take on a challenge, get the stuff that you're going to get by going to that location, and then it'll be somebody else's turn. So on your next turn, for instance, if I was going to go here, I would put my second disc over there, and I'd put Cayman over here, meaning that this is now taken. Even though Cayman is no longer here at Palm Plaza, this area is now taken, and so nobody else can go here for the rest of the round. Okay, that's how that's going to work. So if you do decide to go to Palm Plaza and you get the first player token, at least you don't have to worry about somebody taking it from you in the same round. Okay? But that's basically it. So you'll still get the benefit of getting to go first at least once, for the next round, which is nice, because you'll get to continually go first for the next round until somebody else goes to Palm Plaza and takes it away from you. Okay? That's basically how that's going to work. Now, as the game goes on, you will obtain more of these. So, at the end of the second round, once you get to the second round, you'll get another disc. So in the setup, there'll be a disc of your color sitting there, along with everyone else's sitting there as well at the 2 spot. And there'll be one sitting at the 4 spot. So at the beginning of the second round, you will have 3 actions, basically, 3 turns. And at the end of the 4th round, you will have, at the beginning of the 4th round, you will have 4 actions as well. So that's really cool. So, of course, I think I would have preferred if they made it 3, so that way you would have 4 turns in the last two rounds. But oh well, that's how it is. You're going to get your 4 actions on the last round. But basically, that's what's going to happen. So you start with 2 actions, basically, 2 worker placement actions, basically, and you get 2 more as the game progresses. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. Now, let's continue on here. So that's how Palm Plaza is going to work. Now, if you go to the repair shop, you're going to get 2 shells. Now, you'll also notice this. This is Racer's Bay, and it also has something unique as well. But before we talk about this, let's talk about Lamarra Stadium in particular. Just like with the Colosseum, and just like with the Citadel of Time, when you place a worker at one of these locations, not only are you going to get the reward of the placement, but you're going to get the reward of the location as well. And if you watch the other videos, you know that the Colosseum is going to give you an extra stunt card, or a stunt card for just going there. And the Citadel of Time is going to give you a challenge card for just simply going to the Citadel of Time. But if you go to the Lamarra Stadium, that's where this boat comes in handy, okay? When you go to the Lamarra Stadium, even if you go to these 2 locations here, the Palm Plaza and the repair shop, you're going to move the boat up 1 time, and then you're going to get the corresponding reward. So the first possible reward you're going to get is a stunt card, okay? You're going to get a stunt card the first time you do it. That's cool, right? And, the next time the boat moves, you're going to get a shell, whoever that is. The next time the boat moves after that, the player who moved the boat to this location here is going to get to move their marker up on the champion board. So obviously, coming to the Lamarra Stadium at the right time is going to reward you big time, depending on, obviously, where you're going to go. Now, after that, we've got 2 fruit. So if you move the boat to this location, you'll get 2 fruit. If you move the boat to this location here, you're going to get a challenge card. If you move the boat to this location, you're going to get a novice dice. And if you move the boat to this location right here, you're going to actually get to increase one of the 3 symbols on your player board. You won't be allowed to increase synergy. That's not one of the 3 that you can do. You can increase one of these. So either focus, spirit, or resilience. You get to choose, but you're basically gonna move your dial up 1, depending on which one you choose. Okay, that's how it's going to work. So obviously, there's some big benefits for coming to Lamarra Stadium, as well as simply, obviously taking on Lamarra Stadium challenges, right? But if you come here to Racer's Bay, you get to move the boat an additional time. So if you come here, you're going to move the boat once for visiting Racer's Bay, and you're going to get the corresponding reward. But because you came to Lamarra Stadium, the boat is still going to move up 1, and so that means you're going to get 2 rewards. You're going to get a shell, and you're going to get a stunt card, basically. If the boat was over here when you decided to come to Lamarra Stadium, and you came to Racer's Bay, now isn't that cool? And depending, obviously, on where the boat is, could be some awesome benefits. That one is a good benefit, obviously, and I think this is the best benefit right here, for sure. And this one's pretty good, too. And if you manage to get this one and this one at the same time, I can't say I'm not unhappy with that, because that is a nice bonus. 2 fruit and getting to move up on the champion board. Oh, that is cool, right? But basically, that's how Lamarra Stadium is going to work. And Lamarra Stadium is going to go over here, and you're not going to be able to see it all in the camera because there's just not enough space. But we're going to put it right there. I think that will work. And put the boat here anyway, so at least you can see half of it in the camera. But basically, that's where that's going to go. Now, that's not all we have. We also have the Droska Rain. So this is the other location that you can go to as well. And before I continue talking about this one, let me get out some cards, because you're going to be needing cards for this as well. So that's something to note. Okay, so here at the Droska Rain, let's talk about, and first of all, obviously this is the other location where the judge can sit, okay? Here at the Droska Rain, the judge will sit here, the Turtle Man will sit there. So that at these three locations, what can you do? Well, let's talk about this one last. Let's talk about this one first. This is the Desert Caravan. If you decide to come here, you get to refresh your dice. Well, you're probably thinking, why do I want to do that when I could go to the meditation spring and refresh there? Well, there are some benefits to going here, and there's also some benefits to going to the meditation spring. The difference between the two, besides simply location, is the meditation spring allows you to refresh all of your dice. However, the Desert Caravan will only be able to refresh a certain amount of your dice, and that will be based on your current resilience. So if your resilience is only 1, then that means you can only refresh 1 of your dice, which is probably not going to be as useful, right? But if your resilience is pretty high, going to the Desert Caravan can definitely be a huge benefit, and maybe, most often the case, you'll only have 2 or 3 dice that you'll need to refresh anyways, and so going to the Desert Caravan might be a bigger benefit in the end. Okay, now we'll talk about the other benefits of the Droska Rain last, but before that, let's talk about the next 2. So, here we have the Glass Forgers Guild. If you go here, you're going to get 2 shells as well. Now, if you go here to the Drifter's Dock, you're going to get 1 fruit, and then you'll notice this symbol here with 2 cards on it, and 2 crosses, basically crossing off the cards. Well, when you have the Droska Ring set up, you're going to have these market cards set up as well. You're going to have these basically right next to the Droska Ring, and there's going to be 3 of these face up, okay? The ones that are face up are the ones that you can buy from the market, okay? And if you don't like any of them, you can go to the Drifter's Dock here, get a fruit, and you can basically discard 2 of them and draw 2 more out for a better chance of better items at market, okay? That's how that's going to work. Now you're probably wondering, how do I buy cards from the market? Well, when you visit the Droska Rain, you can either buy a card from the market or gain fruit. So, if you don't want to buy a card from market, or just simply can't afford to buy a card from market, you can just simply gain a fruit as an additional benefit for coming here. Because after all, sometimes you'll just want to come here so that way you can complete a challenge or refresh your dice. You may not necessarily be coming here to simply buy a card from market. So at least there's some benefits still, regardless of the case, if you decide to come here for other reasons. But if you're going to buy a card from market, you have to have fruit. Okay, now obviously you're going to be using fruit to roll dice, because your focus only starts at 1, right? And maybe you're not able to increase your focus, and so you're going to be munching on a lot of fruit in order to roll a lot of dice. But there are other things you can use the fruit for, and that's going to be buying cards from market, getting all sorts of benefits. This one, you spend 4 fruit and you get to 2 blue initiate dice, which are basically level 2, right? And some of these give you shells. This one's cool. It raises your resilience by 1 for the cost of 2 fruit. That's a good one, right? And so there's some good ones in here and some that aren't as good. This one, for 3 fruit, you get a novice dice, but you get to move your marker up 1 on the champion board. That's really cool, right? So there's definitely some useful market items here that you can purchase. That one's pretty nice too, because you can choose multiple. It looks like you can choose synergy, resilience. It's all 4 actually. All 4 in this one. You can increase by 1 on those symbols: resilience, synergy, spirit, and focus. If you purchase this one, you get to increase 1 of the 4, and you get a challenge card. So that's a pretty cool one. And this one's just for spirit, for instance. So there's a lot of really good and useful market cards in this game, for sure. So you can buy one of these if you have enough fruit, if you want to buy them. Okay, so that's what you're going to do at the Droska Rain. That's another benefit of coming here, is buying these, obviously. So that's basically just the setup of setting out all the different boards, obviously. Now there is one more. If you have the expansion, we do have the Angler's Cove as well. So if you're playing with the expansion, or if you're playing with this, you'll definitely need this in the setup as well. But I'm not going to be playing with this at all, so I'm not going to set it up for this, so we won't obviously talk about it. I don't even know much about it anyways, so we're not going to talk about this any further, but know that this is here. And obviously there is definitely some interesting things here. This one, if you go to the battle pit, you get a challenge card, you get a stunt card. If you go to the coral mine, you get 2 shells, 2 fruit, and a, oh wow, and a novice dice too. Those are some awesome rewards, right? And that one you get to refresh dice, but you also get a card. I think that's not a market card. I think that's something else, but you get it. And this one, you draw an outcast token and then may attempt any challenge. So the outcast token, I'm not sure what those are, but I've heard something about outcast, about this expansion. It adds minus points to the game. So there is some disadvantages from getting all this awesome stuff. You could get some minus points coming here to the Angler's Cove. So that's all I know about the Angler's Cove. So we'll leave it out of the setup. But that's basically the half. That's not the entire setup. There's going to be, obviously, a marker for the rounds to tell you which round it is, obviously. And there's going to be a player board out. You're going to have some resources to start with. You start with 2 fruit. You start with 2 shells as well, okay? And obviously, you'll have some character cards that you'll start with, or 1 character card, and some other things as well, obviously. But that's just kind of, the basic setup of and how each of these basically locations work. Now there's still one more location to talk about, and before we talk about it, I want to talk about challenges and rolling dice and things like that, and how that's going to work first. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how you actually compete in a challenge and what that entails, as well as fighting monsters.